us through. But since when has impossible ever stopped you? Friday's disappointment, Sunday's empty tomb. Since when has impossible ever stopped you? This is the sound of dry bones rattling. This is the praise, make a dead man walk again. Open the grave, I'm coming out. I'm gonna live again. This is the sound of dry bones rattling.
Pentecostal fire, stirring something new. You're not gonna Hello, church family. Welcome and thanks for joining us today. We got a great service in store for you today. And first, if you are new or checking church out, we are glad you are here, and we'd love to connect with you. And there's two ways to do that. One, if you text new to the number on your screen, we'll just send you a gift card to a local coffee shop as our way of saying thanks for checking us out, for being here. You can also text connect to that same number, and you will get a text message just once a week on Fridays with an update of all that's happening in the life of KAC. So don't miss out on that. It's great to kind of be in the know. You want to hang out, you want to get to know people, you want to grow deeper in your faith. Texting connect to that number will help you do just that. So take advantage of it. I got a few things that I want to bring to your attention that will help you in your journey here at KAC and in this season. First is we have a plethora of great events coming your way. I believe there's going to be a list on the screen there in front of you for you to see. I'm not going to say all of them, but there's a lot of great things in there. And you can go to kac.ca/events to register for all of those. So yeah, go on there, peruse at your leisure and jump in. There's lots of great ways to meet new people, to grow in your relationship with Jesus. So don't miss out on that. Let me highlight a couple of those things for you. This Tuesday, Pastor Chris is doing a Rule of Life workshop. If you've never done one, I encourage you to come. It will be worth your time and energy. It will help you think well through what does it mean to follow after Jesus for you specifically. And I think you will enjoy that workshop. The next thing is a membership class next Sunday. If you've kind of been here for a while and you're like, this is my church, we're planting our flag, we're coming here, I encourage you to come to the membership class. You'll get to know the behind the scenes a little bit and the ins and outs of who we are and what we believe. So that's next Sunday. And then if you're going, man, this is my first time here, I'm just checking things out, but I do kind of want to get to know people. I'm not sure if I want to darken the doors of the church yet. KAC is going to Harper Mountain to ski, snowboard, and tube, sit around and make s'mores around the fire, hang out in the lodge, I think that's what they call it. Yeah, and just it's a great opportunity to meet some people in a kind of just a great space that most people know and understand. You can rent all sorts of stuff there. It's great fun tubing. And that's next Sunday, January 29th from 4:30 to 8:30 p.m. and you can register online for that. In fact, all these things you can register online for. And then the last event I want to point out for you is kind of a combination of developing community as well as a discipleship journey. And that's the Rooted 10-week experience that begins on January 31st. Rooted is a 10-week journey, a community experience where people practice 7 rhythms essential to a healthy relationship with Jesus. You will begin to see God in new ways as He invites you to experience life in Him that is marked by community, authenticity, and generosity. You won't want to miss that. I'll be there leading the way through that, so come join me in the Rooted experience beginning on January 31st. And again, all of those things you can register online at kac.ca/events. Last thing, before we kind of transition is giving is a practice, a rhythm that we do here at KAC. And giving doesn't just bless those who receive the gift, it blesses the giver too. Because giving, when we give, it releases the hands or the stranglehold that money has over our lives. And so this is a practice that Jesus encourages us to do and to partake in. And I have found it valuable in my life, and I would encourage you to lean in and give and be part of who we are at KAC in that way. You can do that in a number of different ways. You can give online through your local banking institution. You can go to kac.ca/give and give there as well. You can also call the church office or email finance@kac.ca, and they would be happy to help you and answer any questions that you might have. Okay, church, Pastor Chris is about to give us, cast a vision really for community here at KAC, as community is one of the important objectives in our new strategic plan. So I want to give you 3 ways to kind of help you engage in community in this season. The first is in life groups. Life groups is one of the focal points of how we do community online and even in person on a weekend at a service is a great way to kind of connect with people, but not really go deep with people because there's not a lot of life-on-life interaction there. So life groups really is our primary way that we do that. And so you can go online and fill out a form on there to join a life group. You can also lead a life group there, or you can put together your own life group and fill out a form on there as well. And so, in fact, if you are joining us online from Sun Peaks, we have a female small group that meets online, and they're all from Sun Peaks. So I want to encourage you, if you're like, hey, that's me, or I live close to there, maybe you want to come online and say, hey, fill out the join a life group form and say, hey, Tim, I want to join that Sun Peaks group, and let me know, and I'd be happy to connect you there. Also, we actually have a number of people who are sitting, who've already filled out that form, that want to join a life group, and we've been trying to get them into a life group, but we're waiting for leaders. And leadership really is the bottleneck that we have right now in order to build new life groups. And so if you're sitting here and you're wondering, what should I do? How should I lean in? How should I serve? How should I grow in my faith? Maybe leading a group is for you. And if you've never done that and you're unsure, like, I have no idea how I would do that, fill out the form and you and I will chat and we'll talk through what does that mean and how we can come alongside you and help you in that journey. The third thing I would say is to come to Rooted. Rooted is similar to a life group in that it's community-based, but it's also discipleship-based. In fact, we often make this false dichotomy between community and discipleship, but actually that's really just a representative of our cultural philosophy, but it's not true of the spiritual journey. The spiritual journey must have community and discipleship together. We cannot do our faith on our own. In fact, your spiritual maturity, your spiritual health, vibrancy, all of that will be limited if you are not engaged in community and growing that way. So Rooted brings these two things together. And so I want to encourage you to come with me January 31st. I'll cast a vision and talk about what it is more. So sign up, come, and come with me for 10 weeks as we grow together in Jesus. Thanks for joining us. I'm going to pass it off to our worship team and to Pastor Chris as we lean in and worship God together. God bless you and thanks for coming.
Through every battle, through every heartbreak, through every circumstance, I believe that you are my fortress, you are my portion, you are my hiding place. I believe that you are the way, the truth, oh, you are the one I love. I believe that you are the way, the truth, the life. Oh, I believe that you are the way, the truth, the life. I believe that you are. Oh, it's a new horizon, and I'm set on you. And you meet me here today with mercies that I knew. All my fears and doubts, they can all come to, because they can't stay long when I'm here with you. It's a new horizon, and I'm set on you. And you meet me here today with mercies that I knew. All my fears and doubts, they can all come to, because they can't stay long when I believe that you are a new horizon, and I'm set on you. And you meet me here today with mercies that are new. All my fears and doubts, they can all come true, because they can't stay long when I believe that you are the way, the truth, the life. I believe that you are. The head that once was crowned with thorns is crowned with glory now. The Savior knelt to wash our feet. Now at his feet we bow. The one who wore our sin and shame, now robed in majesty. The radiance of perfect love now shines for all to see. 'Cause your name is victory. All praise will rise to Christ our King. Your name is victory. All praise will rise to Christ our King. The fear that held us now gives way to him who is our peace. His final breath upon the cross is now alive in me. 'Cause your name is victory. All praise will rise to Christ our King. Your name is victory. All praise will rise to Christ our King. Every praise will rise to you. By your Spirit I will rise from the ashes of defeat. The resurrected King is resurrecting me. In your name I come alive to declare your victory. The resurrected King is resurrecting me. By your Spirit I will rise from the ashes of defeat. The resurrected King is resurrecting me. In your name I come alive to declare your victory. The resurrected King is resurrecting me. By your Spirit I will rise from the ashes of defeat. The resurrected King is resurrecting me. In your name I come soldiers watched in vain was borrowed for 3 days. His body there would not remain, for our God has robbed the grave. Our God has robbed the grave. Oh yes, you did. We praise your name, your name, your name is victory. All praise will rise to Christ our King. Your name is victory. All praise will rise to Christ our King. By your spirit I will rise from the ashes of defeat. The resurrected King is resurrecting me. In your name I come alive to declare your victory. The resurrected King is resurrecting me. The resurrected King is resurrecting me. Yeah. Oh yes, you are. 'Cause your name is victory. All praise will rise to Christ our King. Your name is victory. All praise will rise to Christ our King.
It is so great to be alive in 2023. There's so many great things about our culture and about life in our modern world, but we all feel some tensions and some problems that I want to bring some language to. I want to help define and situate us right now in our current moment. The first thing that we feel is that we're really busy people. There seems to be an increasing demand on our time, an increasing pace that we live our lives. Here's a great meme from the internet. I saw this the other day. Me trying to excel in my career, maintain a social life, drink enough water, exercise, text everybody back. Is that not a huge problem? I'm terrible at that. Stay sane, survive, and be happy. So this is Cruella de Vil from 101 Dalmatians, and this really kind of pictures, in a picture form, defines what we feel. There is a researcher out of the University of North Dakota. Her name is Ann Burnett. And for 5 decades, Ann has been researching and analyzing Christmas letters. Yes, of all things, Christmas letters. What she's noticed is that there is a decline in the level of gratitude and thankfulness in these Christmas letters, and an increase in this like pseudo competition of how busy you can live your life. So here's one of those letters. It says, I'm not sure whether writing a Christmas letter when I'm working at the speed of light. Think about that. What interesting language. We work at the speed of light is a good idea. But given the amount of time I must devote to any single project, it's the only choice I have. We start every day at 4:45 a.m., launch ourselves through the day at breakneck speed, only to land in a crumpled heap at 8:30 p.m., wondering how we made it through the day. This seems to be our life. We just start early, we go later, we crumple at the end of the day, glad that we made it through. This is for those of us who are working 45 plus hours a week. And also, I hear this from retirees a lot, that I'd rather go back to work where I was less busy. What is life in the modern world like? We're really, really busy people. Also, we're overworked and we are stressed. In 1965, the U.S. Congress had a special hearing, 1965, because what they thought by the year 2000, the average work week would decrease from 40 hours to 20 due to automation and technology. So 1965, they gather and they say, what are we going to do? Because by the year 2000, this is going to be our reality. And with all the time that people are going to have in their calendars, it's going to put stress on infrastructure like roads and airports because there's going to be more travel. This was in 1965. Well, here we are in 2023, and there is less time for our own recreation and health and margin, and way more demands on our time, which makes us overworked and completely stressed out. Erin Callan was known at the time to be the most powerful woman on Wall Street, as she was the CFO of the Lehman Brothers, which was a major player in the financial sector. She was leading in 2007 and 2008, and of course, 2008 was a financial crisis. Here is her reflection on that period of her leadership. She says, I didn't start out with the goal of devoting all of myself to my job. It crept in over time. First, I spent a half hour on Sunday organizing my email to-do list and calendar to make Monday morning easier. Then I was working a few hours on Sunday, then all day. My boundaries slipped away until work was all that was left. Inevitably, when I left my job, it devastated me. I couldn't just move on. I did not know how to value who I was versus what I did. And what I did was who I was. This is an interesting statement of her own reflection and identity. Without the financial crisis, I may have never been strong enough to step away. Perhaps I needed what felt at the time like some of the worst experiences in my life to come to a place where I could be grateful for the life I had. We are busy, we are overburdened, and we are stressed out. We work way too much. Maybe some of you feel that today. Not just that, but we're also angry and we're tribal as a culture. As our world becomes more secular and God seems to be more marginalized, on the fringes, not as important, the reality is that we don't forget about God. We just replace God with other things. Philosopher Charles Taylor calls this the nova effect. And a nova is just a cosmological term for an eruption. And what he says is that as God recedes more to the margins, we don't actually just negate him. We replace him with other things. There's an eruption of other alternatives. And some of those alternatives is politics. One of those alternatives is politics. And at one point, we just saw politics as the way to govern a good society. But now, no, we have shifted. And now politics is a place of belonging, of righteousness, that I am good and those people are bad, of ultimate meaning, and of even deliverance, right? I was converted from this political party to that political party. When we think of belonging, deliverance, righteousness, meaning, all of those terms fit within the category of religion. So we live in a time now where politics is seen, maybe not expressed, but seen as this all-defining type religion. And what this does is it makes us tribal and angry. In his book, Seculosity, David Zoll says this: it is no coincidence that politics serves a tribal function for more and more people. Because when you share an ideological affiliation, you share not only stories and foundations, but also antagonisms, the things that bind and also the things that repel. And nothing bonds people closer together than a common enemy. And my friends, we're living in this time where there's so much anger and vitriol. It's a supernova effect that there is an eruption. Why? Because we have replaced God with politics. We're also lonely people. In 2017, the Boston Globe released an article that was entitled, "The Biggest Threat Facing Middle-Aged Men Isn't Smoking or Obesity, It Is Loneliness." The author is a 40-year-old person. His editors come to him and say, "We want you to write an article on this." He says, "I'm not really sure I want to, actually." But as he gets into it, he realizes that this article is him. Because he's 40 years old. His majority of his time is spent at work. Then his majority of his home time, recreational time, leisure time is spent with his kids and family. Weekends are packed with that. And he realizes, I have no friends. In this article, he quotes Vivek Murthy, who was the Surgeon General of the United States, who said that the biggest health crisis in the United States is not obesity, it is not cardiovascular disease, it's actually loneliness. In this article, he quotes a study from Brigham Young University over 35 years with 3.5 million people in this study. This is what we call a longitudinal study, that the people of this study who identified themselves as lonely had a 7-point increase, percentage point increase for premature death. This is how serious this is. And so maybe you're a man and you look at your life, you're like, I don't have any meaningful relationships in your life. You're not alone. We're lonely. We are distracted. Any account for life in the modern world has to account for technology. Jean Twenge is a psychologist, a research psychologist. She's done lots of work on the integration and intersection of technology and the next generation. She is a professional at this and has released lots of studies and research. In an article in 2017 in The Atlantic, the title of the article is Has Smartphones Destroyed a Generation? And in this article, she quotes Athena. This isn't her real name, but this is what Athena says. She's 13 years old. We didn't have a choice to know any life without iPads or iPhones like I did. She says, I think we like our phones more than we like actual people. Think about that statement. We like these devices more than we like human interaction. Jean Twenge, in this article and other places, outlines some of her research with next generation and the advent of the smartphone. Here's a few that I'm going to work through quickly. Not hanging out with friends of the next generation, 12th, 10th, and 8th graders. The iPhone's released here. It plummets because we're distracted. In no rush to drive, 12th graders. Here's the iPhone. Look at how much the stats go down. Drove at all in the past year and have a driver's license. The stats plummet because we're distracted. Less dating, 12th, 10th, and 8th graders, 2007, the iPhone is released, it all plummets as well. More likely to feel lonely. The percentage of 8th, 10th, and 12th graders who agree or mostly agree with this statement, I often feel left out of things, or a lot of times I feel lonely, 2007, look at the dramatic increase of loneliness. Less likely to get enough sleep. Here's the iPhone in 2007. Less likely to get enough. Why? Because teenagers are on their phones. They don't drive. They feel more lonely. My friends, this is life in the modern world. Maybe you're a student and you feel this acutely. Why is this all happening? Because, my friends, we are individualistic. We live in a very individualistic society, and individualism is simply the worldview that says, I am the primary agent in the universe. And my lifestyle and my choices are my own. As long as they don't infringe on you, I am free to do what I want. And so what this does is it creates a moral relativism. What that means is that we just simply are individual agents all going our own ways. We actually don't talk to one another anymore. We're unable to do that, but we are free to be ourselves. This is expressive individualism. And here is the problem, though, with expressive individualism. It leaves us alone. Robert Putnam, in his book, Bowling Alone, talks about even the title, To Bowl Alone. Who goes bowling alone? I mean, who likes bowling? I'm just kidding. I don't really like it. But when you go bowling, the whole thing about bowling is to do it in a community. So when you hit the gutters, you can laugh about it. When you hit a strike, you can high five somebody. The whole premise of the book is that people now are bowling alone, that people are less likely to commit to organizations and clubs, less committed, less connected to neighbors, that everything is in decline. So oftentimes people are like, oh, the church is irrelevant. Everyone's leaving the church. It's in decline, blah, blah, blah. Here's the reality, is that all social organizations are in decline. It may not be because of the lack of interest in the things of God. It may just be that we are an individualistic society, and this is what happens. I want to quote the famous philosopher from the kids' movie Frozen. And Elsa, any parent knows this quote, this song ringing the earworm in your ears. Elsa says in her song, yes, I'm alone, but I'm alone and free. And that is an individualistic society. Right? I'm free. I can do what I want. Don't tell me what to do. I can do what I want. But here is a corollary, is that I'm alone. It doesn't promote connection. It doesn't promote community. In the book Hidden Worldviews, they talk about individualism. They say the bottom line is that without risk and freedom within relationships, genuine love is impossible. Since individualism fears the lack of control required by love, think about that. The lack of control, it infringes upon this individualistic mindset. It presents a huge obstacle to our essential need for real love and relationships. The emptiness that results from individualism's fortress mentality tells us that the need for love embedded in human nature cannot be satisfied by this worldview. In other words, you can be as free as you want to do what you want, but you will never be loved. It is difficult to promote that intimate community. This is life in the modern world. You feel it, and I feel it. Now, here's the thing, that all of these realities kill the thing we need the most, connection and community. It disintegrates what you and I need the most. In the first pages of Scriptures, in Genesis, God says, it is not good for man to be alone. And here we are, alone, distracted, overworked, overburdened, lonely people trying our best to make it through. Could it be that the way forward is less of this and more of community? Could it be that the way forward is less of these realities and more of this? So what resonates with you? Where do you find yourself? You see, our strategic plan, our future addresses these problems. So here is our future, our solution to this problem, these tensions that we feel living in 2023. Here's our solution, and it is addressed in our new strategic plan. Our call is as a response to Christ's call to intimate community, close relationships with him and with others. We desire to be a self-sacrificing, not an individualistic, but a self-sacrificing for the betterment of other people and embracing community to all people, no matter your skin color, your background, your ideology. We desire to embrace people as Christ has embraced us. And as we're going to see, one of the primary metaphors for the community of the church who belongs to Christ is that of family. So I want you to take a look at this video from some people in our church, well-loved community members of our church, and their experience in our community. And this is our vision realized. Take a look.
I was experiencing some blurred vision on my right side and a narrowing of the vision, like it was just, things were just not right here. I went right into a trauma room. They realized that there was a blockage in part of the cerebellum. We could see where there were some impairments physically with coordination and also strength. When I was first in the hospital, I couldn't even take a step. I couldn't stand. My right leg would just give way. I remember laying one time in bed and seeing a fella walking with the walker and just walking along, and I kept thinking, wow, look at him go. I wonder if I'll ever be able to do that. And now I'm at home and I'm using a walker. There's times I'm venturing without it in the house, and God is healing. God has provided in so many ways. You know, when you have these times happen and people say, hey, give me a call. You know, if you need anything, give me a call. And not that I'm being skeptical, but sometimes you wonder, you know, anytime. With the changes in my leg strength, just the difficulty of something as normal and mundane as getting up out of a low-seated chair or the toilets. Well, one of the families in our church that are into construction, they had said, hey, you need anything done around your house, just let us know. So we mentioned about, would it be possible to maybe get one of our toilets replaced? I think Linda got a text saying, okay, we have found the toilet, that'll work. When can we schedule it? And I was like, oh, okay, one of their plumbers will come and do all the work and everything. And I was like, oh, okay. Sort of ka-ching, ka-ching, but that's fine, we have to do it. And then I think I inquired, like, how can we pay for this or what? And they said, no, we're gifting you with this, completely free of charge.
And the plumber.
Which, you know, the whole installation, everything. But meals, phone calls, visits, We have been blessed. Oh, it has been just amazing to be part of a community like this. Is just words fail to describe it for me.
Even our doctor, when we went to see her, I was seeing her, he says, asked me how I was doing. And she says, you're fortunate. You have your faith and you have a family.
Strong community.
Yep.
Family. Yep.
So we may not have our kids here, but we have family.
Wow, yeah.
How the church family stands together. You know, just the generosity, the love, the hugs, you know, just people we haven't seen for a while. I'm praying for you.
And I'm just anticipating and believing that God is not done with us yet. And that's the exciting thing. God's not done with us yet. And we just keep on looking for opportunities. How can we serve? How can we share God's love to people within our church, people coming in the doors? God still has plans for us. He is still using us, and that's the exciting part of it.
Do you get it? Do you see? This is what we're after. This is what this call is. And Doug and Linda's story, in the midst of some dramatic events in their life, felt the love of family. So where do we get this idea from? We get it actually from the scriptures. Here is our scriptural mandate. I want to walk you through Christ's call unto himself, but not by yourself. And so what I want to do is I want to look at Matthew chapter 4, verses 8 to 11 in your scriptures. I have it here on the screen. I'd love for you to have your Bibles out walking through this. It says, as Jesus was walking beside the Sea of Galilee, he saw two brothers, Simon called Peter and his brother Andrew. They were casting a net into the lake, for they were fishermen. Come, follow me, Jesus said. One of the things that you need to know is at the time in the first century, one of the primary ways or understandings or developments, especially through the intertestamental period, was the rise of what we call rabbinical Judaism. This was traveling preachers and thinkers who would gather a group of, in the Hebrew, talmidim or students, and these rabbis would distill and inform their group about their own interpretation of Judaic law, oral traditions, and all of these things. And so what we're brought into here in Matthew chapter 4 is a very Jewish rabbinical moment, because here you have Jesus, the rabbi, walking along the Sea of Galilee, looking for his students, looking for his, in the Hebrew, talmidim, his apprentices. And he sees two brothers, Simon and Peter, and they're casting a net into the lake, and because they were fishermen. And Jesus comes to them and says, come, follow me. What he's saying is this: come be my apprentices. Come live with me. In the original language, there's a sense of this continuing relationship. So what Jesus is essentially saying is this: come live life with me. Learn my ways, learn my interpretation, learn what a flourishing life looks like under me, not in a part-time way, but rather in a full-time way. And interestingly, what Jesus is doing here is he's taking this rabbinical structure and turning it upside down, because here's how it would normally work. That as a student, that you would gather your best resume and approach a rabbi, and the more well-known the rabbi was, the more prestigious the setting was and the appointment was. And so they would come and they would approach a rabbi and say, am I good enough to be your talmidim, your student? Can I apprentice under you? And then the rabbi would look and choose specifically about who would be his students. But here's what Jesus does. You see what Jesus is doing? He's not coming to these disciples because they are prestigious. No. He's actually coming to them and saying, I want you to follow me. I want you to come to me. He's calling them unto himself. And in this way, the community of faith is a grace based thing, because it's not the resume or the beauty, the potential, the competency of his followers. No. This is the initiating act of Jesus. So the first thing we need to see about a gospel community, a biblical community, is this is a grace-filled community, because he calls us and invites us to himself. And as you and I, Simon and Andrew, follow Jesus, we learn the ways of Jesus, the ways of life and salvation and life in the kingdom of God. We learn about the right way to live life. And so if we want the flourishing life of Jesus, we look at his lifestyle. And Jesus teaches his followers about Sabbath so that we're not so busy. He teaches his followers about solitude so we're not so distracted. He teaches his followers about confession so we're not so angry. He teaches his followers about mission. Come and I will send you out to fish for people, giving them purpose so that we're not individuals just out on our own heroic journey. Rather, we are self-sacrificing for other people. That Jesus calls us into community so we're not so lonely. You see what Jesus is doing, calling us unto himself, that we would be formed into him and his image and his view of a flourishing life, which is in stark contrast to the life and the problems and the tensions that we feel. But I want you to notice that Jesus doesn't call him unto himself by ourselves. He calls us into community. Why? Because there's Simon and Andrew, and he's going to send us out for people. And at once, this is what he's saying, immediately they left. Going on from there, he saw two other brothers, James and Zebedee, and his brother John, and they were in a boat with their father, preparing their nets. Jesus called them, and immediately they left the boat and their father to follow him. Jesus, and what Matthew is showing is the cost of following Jesus. This is not easy to follow him. It's going to cost you something, a vocational change perhaps. And to follow in community is also difficult. It is not easy to do. There's cost. And he's calling different people. He's calling different people than you, the way that you think and the way that you look and how much money you make and your ideologies and your commitments and your convictions and your stories. He's calling not just you, but a group of people. And so the first 10 chapters of Matthew's gospel, Jesus is filling the roster of his 12 disciples, and he's inviting people to come, apprentice under him, learn a new rhythm, learn a new way of life about Sabbath and solitude, and learn all of these things, life in the kingdom. And in chapter 10, verses 2-4, we get the final roster of these Talmudim, these students, these Jewish boys apprenticing their rabbi. And it says, these are the names of the 12 apostles or disciples: Simon, we just were introduced, and his brother Andrew, James and his brother John, Philip and Bartholomew, Thomas and Matthew the tax collector, James the son of Alphaeus and Thaddeus, Simon the zealot, and Judas Iscariot who betrayed him. And from these short verses, we can see Jesus's view and vision for community. I have 5 thoughts. The first thing we see is that this is not about personality or one person, but about the group. Jesus is about to send these disciples out to do the very ministry they have watched him do as his students. And look at what he does. He pairs them up. Simon and Andrew, James and John, Philip and Bartholomew, Thomas and Matthew, James and Thaddeus, Simon and Judas. Together they go out. This isn't about personality. This isn't about one competency. This is about community, that he sends them out 2 by 2. This is about life together. Secondly, Jesus does his mission through a diverse group of people. He accomplishes his mission through a diverse group of people. The 2 monikers that we get in this list is Matthew, the tax collector, the only ones, the tax collector, and Simon, who's a zealot. Now, quickly, these were 2 guys on the polar opposite spectrum. You want to think about tribalism. Matthew, as a Jewish man, worked for the Roman government, overtaxing his own people. He would have been seen as a traitor. You can read about his calling in Matthew chapter 9. Now, on the other side, you have Simon the Zealot. Think of guerrilla insurgents. That was Simon. This was a group of Jewish people who hated the Roman government and hated the Jews who were traitors working for the Roman government. They would literally pick up the sword and fight. And who does Jesus call? He calls them. Friends, we don't have it in our Gospels, but I'm telling you, there would have been moments of heat as these two guys learned a different rhythm, learned a different identity as they followed Jesus together. That people on the opposite side of the spectrum are now placed together, and Jesus is the one who unites them. I want to be clear. For some of you, you're not a follower of Jesus. You wouldn't consider yourself a follower of Jesus, but you kind of like it around here. I want to tell you that the reason you like it around here is not because of our good works. It's not because of our bearing and grinning with each other. It's actually what unites us is Jesus. If you want to know why our community works the way that it does, it's because of Jesus, because he is the one that unites us together. Thirdly, this is a community enterprise, that life is done as a group that forms the church. So after COVID, some people believe the myth that you can just sit back and do this alone. My friends, that is a myth. That you don't come to church only for yourself. This isn't about convenience. You come for others as we follow Jesus together. Fourthly, the primary image of the church is that of a family. You saw that with Doug and Linda, and family is great and beautiful, and also family is messy. My friend, I gotta be honest, you're stuck with us. You're stuck with us, but can I be straight with you? We're also stuck with you. But that's the beautiful thing about this, is that we journey with Jesus who unites us together. Fifthly and finally, Jesus' vision of community from this is that gospel community with Jesus is costly. It's costly to follow him, and it's costly to do this together. It's costly of our time. Love demands time. Relationships demand time. Are you too busy? It's costly emotionally, that you got to put up with people, and people have to put up with you. Because in this community, it's not that we're perfect. If you're new to church, this is not a perfect group of people. Remember, this isn't about our prestige or our competency. It's about a grace-filled community. I've noticed that everybody loves community until they have to apologize. They love community until you have to apologize and say, I own that. I'm sorry. I was too short. I didn't show up. I was too judgmental. Everybody loves community until you have to apologize. But my friends, what unites us is Jesus calling us unto himself, but not by ourselves. That this is our vision of community that we want to grow into. So here's our dream. I want to work through this quickly. Here's our dream as a church with our strategic plan the next 3 to 5 years is to promote hospitality as a core practice, both corporately and individually. If you look at Jesus' ministry in the Gospel of Luke, Luke is intentional to show all of the meals and all of the tables that Jesus sat with as he loved and worked with people. And so our dream is to promote hospitality. I believe this is a huge practice for us. Your table, the table here at our church, and our communion table is a place where all people are welcomed. And so we want to promote this as individuals and in our community. Secondly, our dream is that KAC would be known for creating community and not just consuming it, where our times together are marked by mutual encouragement. We would be a positive community where we're pointing out in other people, man, here's what God's done. Here's what I see him doing in your life. We would be marked by confession. This would be intimate and deep, not just reciting the last score in the NFL playoff game that we watch, but rather that we would be real with each other. And finally, accountability, this would be growth-minded relationships where we're actually seeing ourselves put off our old self and put on our new self. And my friends, we want to be a place where we create community and not just consume it. So here's what this means for life groups. It means that we don't build walls to other people joining our group. We actually build bridges. And we think, who in our community needs friendship and love. And this isn't about us. This is about other people. This is self-sacrificing community. Sure, there's always room for one more. This is about you multiplying your life group to say, you know what? There's great leaders here that need to go and start their own group because people in our community desperately, desperately need it. Our dream is that families would be supported and encouraged to play a central role in the vitality and health of our community. We want to continue to double down on next gen ministry, to come alongside you as a parent as you watch your kids grow up. We want to be thoughtful in helping you. We're not doing this by ourselves. We are helping you. We are an aid to you as you disciple your kids. So we believe in the nuclear family, want that to flourish, but I also want to be clear. We realize that families look very different today than they did 30, 40 years ago. So if you don't have a biological family, we want to be family for you, a spiritual family of brothers and sisters. And so if you're widowed or divorced or celibate, you choose to be single, we want this to be a place where you find family, not just superficial connection, but family. That's our dream. Now, what does that look like? Our faith-filled goals as we move forward. What does this actually look like? I want to lead you through a few. Firstly, in the next 12 months, we are going to provide clarity around community and its function at KAC. We really want to drill down, what does a flourishing community look like and sound like? And so Pastor Tim and his team in spiritual formation, we're going to be doing a lot of work around what do we actually mean? Also, we're going to establish a lay mentoring and ministry counseling service. So this is already going on. Sandra Bauhaus on our team is taking courses, and she's already meeting with people. And we see a growing need for one-on-one or one-on-a-few care. So we want to invite you into this. If you're trained, if you have marriage and family therapy experience, if you are taking classes, if you're interested, we want to get you trained. We want to build this up so we can provide this care for people who are struggling through life's difficult moments. It's already happening, but we want to invite you in. If you're interested in that, email Sandra Bauhaus, sandrab@kac.ca. In 36 months, we want to renovate our campus to create an intentional space to facilitate, again, hospitality as a core practice for us as a church, invitation, coffee, and food. We've said this, and I'll say it again. People would rather feel loved than wowed. We're not going to stop preaching hopefully good sermons and having excellent stuff on our weekends, but people would rather feel loved than wowed. So we want to intentionally put dollars and resources into changing some of the physical space of our church so that we can have great food on weekends, great coffee on weekends. We want to have nights where we have family meals together, where our kitchen's being used and you can come and kids are running around and we're eating spaghetti and you can invite people to the table because people around tables are loved and fed and conversation happens. And this is the warmth, the type of warm community that we want. So that's going to come in 36 months. We're planning on bringing a capital campaign to you in the next 8 to 10 months. So get ready for that. We want to launch 10 new life groups every year. We want these communities, these smaller groups to come together and to launch. We need leadership development. We need to get better. So this is our hope in 36 months. And even more and sooner than that is not just 3 years from now, but even in the next few months. 60 months, 5 years from now, 80% of our congregation participate in a small or mid-sized community where they are known and can give and receive ministry, accountability, and care that every single person, 80%, 8 out of 10 people would say, you know what? I know who I would call in this church if my life fell apart. If I needed an emergency meal or childcare, if something happened, I know where I go to get fed, to find community, to grow, and to love other people. In either a large group, mid-size, or small group community, 80%, we are not there because we believe life is lived best together. That rows in this room are okay, but circles are sometimes better. So now what? How do you play your part? What's the next thing? Friends, get into a mid-sized group. We have mid-sized communities here, prime time for our seniors, men's ministry, women's ministry, youth, young adult ministry. We have these communities that aren't just cul-de-sacs. They're not just holding tanks for people. These are ways that you can get in. Sign up to serve. As you start to do things shoulder to shoulder with people, you can actually get community. Friends, sign up for a life group. Go onto our website and sign up for a life group this weekend. Say, you know what? I want to be a part. I have been on the margins. I need to get known in community. Sign up to lead a life group. We need leaders. Email Tim Bussey. Get in touch with Tim. Go to our serve form on our website and fill whatever way that you want, email or our serve form. We will get back to you as we want to launch more and more life groups as people get into community, renouncing the busy, frenetic, stressed, overburdened life that you're living to say, you know what? I need to create space for other people. And finally, play your part. Play your part. This doesn't have to be formal, right? Because we talk about like all these mid-sized communities, you know, like the kind of like that 30 to 75 range of men's, women's prime time. Fantastic. Those are formal ways. But play your part in our community. If you call KAC your home church, don't just exist for yourself. Come to church for other people, not just you. Make a phone call. Schedule a walk around MacArthur Island. Put on food on Sunday morning, come to church and invite people over. Extend hospitality to other people. Unhurried rhythms where deep connection can happen. So play your part in our community. When we have times here on our weekend services where we say, get up and greet one another, don't roll your eyes. Look around and say, Jesus, who do you want me to go say hi to? Who can I love? Who is my neighbor that I can love like myself? Play your part in our community. I believe moving forward, the church, more than ever, one of our most potent, one of our strongest magnets for people, yes, the truth and person and message of Jesus Christ found in the gospel, 100%. But it's also the community of faith in our world that is disintegrating, that's isolated, and all of the tensions and problems I outlined. The opportunity for you and I to be warm, caring, loving, searching, pursuing. My friends, the opportunity for this is enormous, and that's why it's a part of our strategic plan. May you play your part. So Jesus, come above and beyond all we ask or imagine, beyond all we could think. We pray for our church community. In a larger church, it's hard sometimes to feel connected. It's hard to be known. It's easy to come and consume. It's hard to be known. So Lord, I pray that our hearts would change from thinking that, oh, other people will do it, other people will say hi, other people will invite, to us owning it. So as we follow you, as you call us unto ourselves, may our lives represent being students and apprentices of you, being found and saved by you through your cross and resurrection, and now on mission as you have sent us out in community, by community, for other people to experience community. So do this, we pray. In your name, amen. Last thing. We're starting an initiative every day at 3:20 from Ephesians 3:20 that he's able to do above and beyond all we ask or imagine. Set your alarm for 3:20. Pray with our church. It's so powerful to get text from you at 3:19, 3:22 said, I just prayed. My friends, let's pray into this. Thanks for trusting us. See you next week. Bye.
Your love is wild. Your love is wild for me. It isn't shy. It's unashamed. Your love is proud to be seen with me. So you don't give your heart in pieces. You don't hide yourself to tease us. Uncontrolled, uncontained, your love is a fire burning bright for me. It's not just a spark, it's not just a flame. Your love is a light that all the world will see. All the world will see. You don't give your heart in pieces. You don't hide yourself to tease us. You don't give your heart in pieces. You don't hide yourself to tease us. Your love's not fraction. It's not a troubled mind.